Live, Armchair Quarterback. I'm David Allen and joined as always by Coach Guy Suttle, and with us today a very special guest on the broadcast, and that is Coach Mike Wilbanks of the Shelby Golden Lions. Coach, appreciate you being here.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to have the opportunity to get here, I guess. If it hadn't turned out so good on Saturday, I probably wouldn't be here.
Well, it's probably true. I probably wouldn't have texted you on Sunday to see what you were doing today. Yeah. No doubt about that. And just to let everybody know, Coach Greg Lloyd was invited also, but he is at the Shrine Bowl this week preparing for the Shrine Bowl game on Saturday between North and South Carolina, and so his coaching duties down there would not allow him to get here today at 4 o'clock. So just want to give you that information. And because of that information, we always go in alphabetical order. So normally we would start with Crest and then do Shelby, but because Coach Wilbanks is with us today, we're going to start with Shelby and we'll do Crest in our second segment of the broadcast. So let's talk about it. And I do this on my podcast all the time. I bury the lead. The lead is Shelby 84, Kinston 41. Coach, probably, I mean, I could have probably thrown out 100 scores to you prior to the game on Saturday, and we never would have dreamt that the offense would have had such a big day.
I hear Carter and Eli, my two sons, talk about scoregami.
Yes.
I'm not exactly well versed in that, but I think 84 to 41 may fit that category. You're exactly right. I never would have dreamed we would have scored 84 points. That was crazy in a state championship game. But I think Land was firing on all cylinders, of course, and Coach Emery was calling. He was very in tune with what Kinston was trying to do to us on defense with his play calling. So it just all came together and worked out really well for us.
No question about it. Coach Suttle is always talking about the offensive line play. Coach, Land Farmer had all day long to pick out a receiver in that ball game.
Right, you know, and it's hard for me to make, some comments with Coach here because he might correct me, but what was amazing to me was, they tried stunting and sending the house. That didn't work. Everybody was open at that point in time. So they go to a 3-man rush at times, dropping 8, and they're still wide open. I mean, it was just a great game to watch from that viewpoint. But you're right, offensive line play, I talk about it all the time. Those 5 guys up front is what determines a state champion from somebody going out in the second or third round.
Coach, I know that you like to win the toss and get the ball. Obviously, Kinston won the toss, took the ball, so they kind of went against what you like to do to open the ball game. And here we see the kid getting a free on the screen pass in for the touchdown, and just like that, it was 7-0. And I know, regardless of what you had done to prepare for this game, you had to be thinking, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of to go back and touch on what Coach Suttle's talking about, the offensive line play and the pass protection. That's one of the first things we talk about in the offensive coaches meeting is how we're going to protect, how we're going to set the protection. And I think Coach Dunaway really does a good job of figuring out where they're trying to bring pressure from and getting the protection set that way. But yeah, they get the ball first. That went against what we've been doing all the playoff run is we've been trying to take the ball first, score and go up, put the pressure on the other team and try to keep our foot on the gas. And it's worked for us during the playoffs, but in this game, the state championship game, Kinston had the same MO, I guess. So they took the ball first, and unfortunately they went down and scored, and Copper was a big part of that. And but credit to our guys and our coaches, they didn't flinch. Sometimes you try to get that momentum early, but we got down 7-0, and I think it might have been 2 or 3 plays later we scored and tied it up. And so once we did that, I kind of got a feel for, okay, it's going to be one of those kind of games. We just got to try to break the serve somewhere and get a stop.
Great catch.
All during the summer, you guys go to these 7-on-7 tournaments to work on your timing, to work on the route running, all those kinds of things. The offense, especially with a spread attack like what we've had for the last 10, 12 years. But, I mean, Saturday was like a 7-on-7 game in a lot of ways because Land was, and we saw a couple of times where they grabbed him and got a hold of him, but for the most part, he was just unbothered back there and was able to pick and choose where he wanted to throw the football.
Yeah, 7-on-7, there's all kind of debates about it, and it's not real football, I know that, and all coaches would tell you that because there's nobody coming at the quarterback or tackling the receivers, but it is good for your timing and getting some chemistry with between the quarterback and the receivers, and it's also good for the DBs. And it's funny that on Friday, during our Friday practice, which is in essence our Thursday practice during the game week, we're going over some stuff, some red zone stuff for the defense, and one of the guys said, man, this is like 7-on-7. They throw the ball all the time. And I said, you know what? We kind of started our summer, our first big 7-on-7 was at UNC Charlotte on June the 14th, King of the Queen City. And we won that. And I told the guys Saturday morning, I said, it'd be kind of nice to bookend our year, winning that little 7-on-7 at UNC Charlotte and then winning this game against a passing team like Kinston for the state championship, and we went out and did that.
Absolutely. There you are with the trophy presentation, and kids are looking, pointing to the ring fingers. And you were a little wet in that picture. Your guys got you pretty good there before the end of the game, and I would only say a good thing y'all had the early game because it was probably a little warmer than it would have been had that been at 11 o'clock Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, and that was it's funny because they told me probably with 7 or 6 minutes left in the game, they said, Coach, you ain't got to worry about them dumping the cooler on you. They've already taken the coolers away because that's one of the rules. Mm-hmm. You go to the press conference, they tell you you can't dump the cooler on the coach, I guess because ice gets on the field and the turf and it doesn't go away. But so when they told me that during the game, I thought, okay, well, good. I don't want to it's kind of cold out here. But then the boys and their resourcefulness, they took the water bottles and took the tops off all of them, and they got me pretty good. And that was fun. It was a lot of fun. Luckily, I brought a change of clothes for the ride home, so it wasn't so bad.
Absolutely. So that's the third state championship for you as a head coach. I know you it's like kids. You're not going to choose between Carter and Eli. Those are your two kids. You love them both. You love them both equally and in different ways. But what made that one on Saturday special for you?
I think it was special because of a lot of the things we went through. I think it was special because we started 0-2, and a lot of people were critical, especially of Land, and I've been outspoken about that. There's a lot of people that were criticizing Land's play in the big game, and even some hometown folks. I mean, they're fans; they have a right to criticize. But I credit Land with just taking that like a champ, and he really turned to his faith. He really, turned just kind of internally and decided. I kind of liken it to Tim Tebow. Land is kind of a Tim Tebow type player to me. He's really a very good thrower, but he can run it. He's ultra competitive. He's a big, strong kid. And I think he just took it upon himself, especially after the Lincolnton loss, that, hey, we're not going to lose anymore. And he got dialed in and at the right time. And so I was just happy for him. But, we had some kids who got hurt along the way. We had some kids that were dismissed for disciplinary reasons along the way. And so we had a lot of those things happen throughout the season. But kind of the theme of our season, we kept talking about Gideon in the Bible and how God just kept getting Gideon's army down to 300 to take on, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 troop army. And I said, guys, we're just getting down to our 300. We're just going to have to go fight with what we got. Somebody's got to step up. And so that's probably the most satisfying thing to me is to see them and their resilience through a lot of different things that came at us. Playing on the road for 5 of the 6 playoff games. And I told them that when the brackets came out. I said, guys, we're going to be road warriors. We just got to embrace it. We can't change it. So just get ready, and we'll just have fun going on the road. We'll go to some places I've never been. I've never been to Eastern Randolph. I've never been to Mount Airy. One of the things we like to do on the road is go to schools and do a walkthrough. So like before Mount Airy, we went to Elkin. I'd never been to Elkin. Mm-hmm. Before Eastern Randolph, we went to Asheboro High School. Never been to Asheboro High School. So we experienced a lot of things together as a team, and it was a good time with the guys. And I just this team had a really good chemistry. And I told a reporter earlier in the week, we kind of took a note from Monroe a couple of years ago, last year actually. Monroe's team, they had come up short a couple of years prior. And I remember talking to Coach Sal, who coaches Monroe, and I like Coach Sal. I think he does a great job. But he talked about his senior class and how they were determined. And so coming into this year, I kind of said, hey, guys, that Monroe team last year had some seniors that would not be beat. And we talked about that starting in January last year, or this past January. And those seniors bought in, and, man, they worked their tails off, and they kind of led the way for everybody else and paid off here at the end.
There's always, of course, Land and the receivers and even the guys on the defensive front. You know, Tyson Williams and Noah Gardner maybe getting a lot of accolades, so to speak. But you know, I always think back to Carlos Borders, who was a senior that we had not had, and not somebody that hadn't really been on the team. And then his senior year, he comes out and he plays defensive end, and he's just just tearing things up. Who was that kid this year that's maybe somebody that's new to the program, somebody that's a late bloomer, somebody that you weren't expecting a thing out of back in the summer, and on Saturday you were like, man, it was awesome having that kid out there?
There's a few of them. Kahari Corey, number 6, plays DB for us. Kahari and I have a really good relationship, and we joke a lot because when he was a 9th and a 10th grader, you know, he and we butted heads a lot. He was the typical 9th and 10th grader. But then last year he got some playing time as a junior, and then he stepped into the starting role this year and just was a great leader for us, and I was just happy for him. Grady Nodine, who came to us from Crest and transferred over, he was just a joy to have on the team. He fit right in. He developed into a really good linebacker for us and made a bunch of plays. And then, you know, a kid named Jaquel Joyner, who moved to Shelby in January. He's from Pitt County. He went to North Pitt High School last year. He moved up here with his family. And he worked all year. And he got to start Saturday because of some disciplinary issues. We had to shuffle the offensive line. So he ended up starting at left guard, first start. And he did well. But he had prepared for that. He had practiced hard, worked hard on scout team, got his reps when he was in at practice, and so that paid off for him. And then Jonas Woods. I mean, who knows if Jalen Tate does not get hurt at Lincolnton, we may still know how good Jonas is, but Jonas would have probably had to split some time. Mm-hmm. But man, what a diamond we have found there in Jonas Woods. He is a phenomenal back, and I look forward to 3 more years with him.
Absolutely. All right, so Coach, we're going. There it is. There's the final. It's still just unbelievable. I mean, you know, when you beat Highland Tech 90-0, some people were upset, thinking we run the score up and all this, that, and the other. But I mean, you're in the state championship game. You scored 84 points.
I had several coaches text me on the way home, and I won't say what schools, but they were kind of like, well, I don't feel so bad now. You only scored 50 on us. You only scored 60 on us. So I don't feel so bad now. You know, that was kind of funny to hear from them.
Well, you know, I know it's Christmas coming up in just a couple of weeks, but, I mean, as we talked about earlier today, you know, when January hits, it's all about 2026. So enjoy the next couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we appreciate your time today. We're going to take a break, and we'll send it to break, and then when we come back, you'll be gone. But we just want to say thanks again and congratulations.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for covering high school sports. I think it's great what y'all do for Cleveland County sports, and just appreciate all that, and hope y'all have a Merry Christmas.
All right. That's Coach Mike Wilbanks of the Shelby High State Champion. Shelby High Golden Lions, the 3A state champions. And we'll talk about that Crest game when we come back. You're watching Armchair Quarterback.
Killing people dying, children hurt, and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach, and would you turn the other cheek?
How you doing today, ma'am?
Help us and some guidance from above. These people got me questioning. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
Welcome back in for our special state playoff championship edition of Armchair Quarterback. We had Coach Mike Wilbanks with us on the first segment. In case you missed it, Coach Greg Lloyd coaching at the Shrine Bowl this week, unable to be here with us today. We apologize for that, but Coach Suttle and I both got a chance to see that game on Saturday night. And I'm going to tell you, Coach, early on I thought Wilson Hunt was going to be a problem for Crest. They took a 7-0 lead. I thought they sacked Eli Hamrick for a safety. They ruled it at the 1-yard line, and on the next play hits Majay Thompson for about a 60-yarder. And
Yeah.
it was like that was the play that changed the whole momentum of the ball game, and then from that point on, it was all Crest.
And that's all they needed. Only thing I could think of when it first started with them going down and scoring the way they did is, and then Crest coming back, like you said, and was, we're going to see another Shelby game again. But, it just did not work out that way for Wilson Hunt. That was a game changer. For whatever reason, momentum just completely shifted at that point in time on that play. And this is
here's the pass play that got him out of the hole,
Yeah.
and you see he basically dropped that in the bucket, and Majay on the run, just a tremendous catch and run. Honestly, I thought Wilson Hunt should have maybe just run the ball. Their quarterback was all over the place, errantly throwing the football, and I thought maybe if they had just stuck with the 24 kid there on the ground, they might have gotten a little, had a better outcome, but obviously Crest was way too much for them.
Yeah, and I agree with you. We talked last week in the lead up to this game how they had a 1,700-yard rusher, and that could pose a problem. But what tended to happen in this one is that Crest started running the ball, and that kind of took the air out of that. So I think when Wilson Hunt got down a couple of touchdowns, they did go to the pass. This particular play, though, reminds me, going back to a long time ago, best pass play that Shelby had back then was with Norris Harper dropping back to pass and then scrambling for a touchdown. So
yeah, no question about that. Eli Hammer hitting the deep ball to Surratt right there. Let me ask you this, because I saw it with Surratt, but I had noticed it in the Shelby game with the Copper kid and the Chambers kid, wearing the decal of the school they've committed to on the back of their helmet.
That's right.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was, and I'm a little bit surprised as strict as the NCHSAA is, because you had to wear their sticker. Now Shelby had the JT sticker, which they had been wearing for most of the season.
There's the hurdling play. Majay Thompson going over the top of the Wilson Hunt defender. Everybody in the stands couldn't understand why they threw a penalty flag on that, but that is an illegal play in high school football.
In high school football, that is an unsportsmanlike situation where they cannot do that. So, and that's tough on the kid because you see it every Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
Whether it's college or pro. And then this is the one that excessive celebration draws another flag, and he's basically done for the game after that.
Well, there's Coach Lloyd getting the shower. And I'm going to tell you, when I said that to Coach Wilbanks about him being wet and he would have appreciated it being in the sunshine versus 11 o'clock on Saturday night, I guarantee you, Coach Lloyd, he's smiling about it, but I guarantee you he was cold as all get out because it was a chilly evening in Durham Saturday night.
Yeah, and that was right there at the end of the game with some of the trophy presentation, things like that, with Dr. Chris Blanton presenting those plaques and trophies to the MVPs overall game, offense, defense, and the state championship, is a member of the board of directors for the NCHAA and a graduate of Crest High School who played quarterback. So just pretty unique right there at the end with the trophy presentation.
Yeah, Chris Blanton, he's a good one. He was the principal at Burns High School, then went to Watauga High School, was there for a number of years now. He's an assistant superintendent up there in Watauga. There you see the final score, Crest 31, Wilson Hunt 14, in a game that really never was, even as, 17-point margin, you think it's a close game. It really wasn't close. Crest was up 24-14 at halftime. Wilson Hunt did not score in the second half. Chargers, as you mentioned, black and green both, good
Yes.
nights rushing the football.
That's right.
And I saw something, maybe I've been to high school OT, had posted something about Reidsville as the capital of football in North Carolina. I said, since when did Reidsville move to Cleveland County?
That's right.
Because we got the capital of football in North Carolina in Cleveland County, no question about it. Final score again, Crest 31 to Wilson Hunt's 14. Chargers 5A state champions. It's a little bit getting used to here with the new A's. And that was the other thing. Q Tucker, they showed the Q Tucker interview from the High School Athletics Association at halftime of all 8 of the contests.
Every one of them.
And it's the exact same interview for 8 different times. I guess they didn't think anybody was watching more than one game. But I say all that to say, she was talking about how this was a new experience with 8 classifications. We did 8 classifications in football for 20-something years.
Yes, when we were going 3AA and 3A and 2AA and 2A, and by the way, Chris and Shelby have both of those also in different A's as far as that goes. You know, that's 8 classifications. Any way you want to look at it, big 4A, little 4A, big 3A, you know, it's all the same. It's 8 classifications. They did not reinvent the wheel.
No, they did not. So Shelby and Crest taking care of business. We talked to Coach Wilbanks about moving on and next year and how quickly that comes in January, because you start, you know, in the weight room, and then you get ready for building your schedule, and then you're 7-on-7, and, you know, all those things happen. And now the bit of news that shocked me anyway this morning, and that was the announcement that Coach Greg Lloyd is retiring and will not be back. And so now Crest, I would have thought with Coach Lloyd, he came home to Crest, he'd been a Crest coach, Crest graduate, et cetera, that they were set for at least several years.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, Coach Jeremy McSwain, the principal at Jeremy Shields, Jeremy McSwain, I don't know where that came from. Jeremy Shields, my buddy, sorry Jeremy, over at Crest, now he's got to find a football coach.
Yeah, and you know what, I hate it. I mean, if Jeff Melton, the athletic director, he's had to find lots of football coaches in his tenure as athletic director. Greg, congratulations. It's a wonderful, wonderful accomplishment. 31 seasons. You know, to be honest with you, I cannot tell you the exact number of those being head coaching seasons, but congratulations to him. It's a great, great honor to win that state championship. And I understand the retirement part. Believe me, I do. It's different though. 31 seasons coaching football, and now he's ready for the retirement and a new chapter in his life and career, and see where it goes for that. Just congratulations on all aspects.
Well, speaking of coaching searches, so we talked about Coach Lloyd leaving Crest. Gardner-Webb University all of a sudden is in a search for a coach, as on Saturday their coach decided to step down and move on to other things. And Coach, I'm just going to throw a name out there for you right quick, and this is Coach Lance Ware, former Shelby High coach, went to Appalachian State after winning 5 state championships for the Golden Lions, was at App for 4 or 5 years, has been at East Carolina this past year, so he's had, you know, multiple state championship teams in high school, and then he has now experienced the college coaching game at both Appalachian and East Carolina. I would think that'd be a good place for Gardner-Webb to look.
And he's got a couple more rings as a player at Appalachian in the national championship. So, yeah, that's a name out there that's got to surface. I would think it would have to surface simply because he knows the area, he knows the recruiting game. We've talked about it before that just the athletes in this area can be significant for Gardner-Webb. It's tough on Gardner-Webb to have local players because a lot of them do want to go away from home to play. But if you've got the right person with the right contacts, and he does, being in the college game over the last 6 or 7 years, that's gonna be important for Gardner-Webb to at least take a look at.
Yeah, I would love to see Spangler Stadium packed on a Saturday afternoon, and it's been a minute.
Yes.
From my experience anyway, when I was doing radio for them back in the day. So best of luck to Gardner-Webb on their search, but hey, Lance Ware, I can give somebody his number if you need it. That is for sure. Last 3 minutes of the broadcast today, I mean, the Panthers, my goodness, what in the world they had the Saints. They've lost to the Saints now twice. They still have destiny in their own hand, Coach, because they can beat the Bucs and still win the division. But how do they lose to the Saints again?
You know, and it looked like a nightmare. And the Saints don't play that way against anybody else except the Panthers. But with moving forward, I think it's Tampa Bay, Seattle, Seattle, and then Tampa Bay again. So, you know, they still have destiny in their own hands. They still control their own ending. So,
Yeah.
move on from there. What about your Cowboys?
Yeah, my Cowboys laid another egg last night. They're done. They're kind of like the Panthers. They win. They beat the Eagles and the Chiefs back to back. Everybody thought, oh, hey, here we go, Cowboys. Yeah, nah, sorry, didn't get it done. They lost to Detroit last week. They lose last night to Minnesota, of all people. J.J. McCarthy back to looking like he might be an NFL quarterback last night against the Cowboys, but I don't know what that says because Dallas's defense has been pretty much atrocious all year long. So we'll see. Go ahead.
What about Phillip Rivers?
Hey, Phillip Rivers looked pretty good. I think he had 120 yards, a touchdown, interception, and they only lost by 2. So maybe when they don't play the best defense in the NFL, he'll look like a superstar. But 44 years old, coached his kids' high school football team this year.
Yeah.
You know, Phillip Rivers, you got to love him. Other big story: 2 big ACL injuries. Patrick Mahomes is done. So are the Chiefs as they lost and they're finished. And then Micah Parsons. Everybody thought the Green Bay Packers were going to be a Super Bowl contender. I think without Parsons, they probably will make the playoffs, but not a Super Bowl contender. So we're just about out of time. Again, state championship edition. You got to love it. Our thanks to Coach Wilbanks for joining us today. Congratulations, and our boy Tim Foster going to come in.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for a great year, gentlemen. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thanks for everything. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, you got to love it. That's another season of Armchair Quarterback. Join us next season for another season of Armchair Quarterback.